Hello everybody, welcome back. I am your host, Lavi. This is my co-host, the KOV, aka Jasper. Another watch talk, and today is going to be very exciting.
Very colorful.
Very colorful, like the rainbow. I'm very excited about this episode because we're going to talk about some of the largest variation in dials and the coolest, very cool selection we happen to have brought out for today's video.
Yeah, a box full of joy.
A box full of joy. It happens to be, on this episode, we're not wearing any watches.
For the practical reason, if we were to take out one of these Stella dials,
Exactly.
there would be two open spots.
That would look
However,
horrendous.
if you have a cool Stella dial that's still missing from this collection, that we will elaborately show you in a bit,
Yes.
please reach out because we need two more,
We need two
so
more.
we can wear one each and have the box still filled up.
And we'll reshoot the whole video
Exactly.
for that occasion. Kof, I think it's going to be nice if we're just going to talk about the watch we have in front of us and go buy them piece by piece.
Yeah, so first let's pinpoint what is a Stella dial if
Exactly.
you don't know that yet. If you follow us, you've probably seen a couple of them pass by. Quite a few. Stella dials are named after the supplier in lacquer. So people used to think it was nicknamed after Frank Stella, who's an artist who worked with a lot of bright paint.
Yes, true.
Otherwise, Stella means star in Italian, and some people think because it really shimmers like a star, it's called a Stella dial. But actually, the supplier of lacquer that provided the lacquer to Rolex dial makers in these bright pigments was Stella SA, a Swiss company. So if the lacquer is supplied by this company, it's referred to as a Stella dial. They introduced it around the 70s up until the late 90s or
Was
mid
this
90s.
the original and only supplier of
Yeah.
dials? Yeah, of lacquer dials.
Wait, very important that you mention that. It's not the supplier of the dial, it's a supplier of the pigment,
lacquer.
of the lacquer.
Yeah.
So the
Apologies.
dials were made mainly by Lemrich and Stern.
Okay.
Stern, the dial company that obviously later on acquired Patek Philippe, or at least the family.
Yes,
Family
true.
Stern. They're related. And perhaps also Singer, I'm not sure by heart. But
I
Singer
was
might
about to
also
ask.
made those dials. And they made them in many different variations, many different colors. And importantly, the paint was mixed by hand. So all of them might differ slightly.
Yeah.
And this was optional from starting the mid 70s. Of course, it was a colorful era.
Absolutely.
And even Rolex, the conservative Rolex, went on a wilder side. My colleague once said they were probably dabbling in drugs back
On
then.
LSD. They were tripping on LSD.
Yep. But you can also guess the rarest ones are the least favorable ones, let's say.
The maybe
Because-
too loud ones or something.
Yeah, because in the end, in the 70s and 80s, it was a bunch of money. These watches were tenfold the price of a Submariner. So
Crazy.
it's the flagship model of Rolex. So who's going to order one with a bright blue dial? Especially in white gold. White gold back in the days was regarded as it still is rather subtle.
Yeah.
But back then people just regarded it as like
Steel.
a steel
Whatever.
watch, right? So who's going to order a white gold one with a very bright dial? Well, those are the ultimate rarest. And as you can see by the selection we have here, the least rare are actually perhaps the most
Popular
attractive
ones.
and
Yeah.
the most popular ones.
Absolutely.
Because they're the least rare, most people order them, and those are the Oxblood ones.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the Oxblood?
I like it. I do, but maybe because in our business we do come across them more often than the rarer ones. So I am amazed and blown away more by the rarer iterations of the Stella. Maybe it's because we're in the business, or maybe we like to see the rarities because you don't come across them very often. I do like the color. I would say for a starter
Sorry
Stella,
to interrupt, but that is indeed a factor that plays or weighs in our positions.
Yes.
We sometimes misjudge aesthetics by rarity.
That's
so
what I think, yeah.
because something is rarer, we tend to like it more, whilst if you look at it objectively,
it's beautiful.
you might make the case that the Oxblood one is the prettiest one. For me.
Compared to like a brighter red Stella, which we have here as well, I would say yes.
I mean, if I were to ask my friends from back in high school that I'm still very close with, like what would be the nicest for you, they would definitely pick out the Oxblood ones.
The burgundy color.
And the ones that I find the nicest are the ones they would like the least, because I know the Rarity
Is
value
exceedingly
it
more.
high. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I do agree. I think I agree 100%. The Oxblood is very nice, especially when you have it with diamonds. Some people prefer it without diamonds.
Mm-hmm.
But I think also, like you mentioned, by the way, that they're all hand mixed.
Yeah.
Every lacquer is hand mixed. We can show that very well in a few examples right here.
Yeah.
We have different shades of blue, green.
For
And
sure.
in that way you
And
can
even in
really
Oxblood,
see.
you can see some are slightly brighter, a little bit more vivid red color, and the
Yes.
other ones are more brownish. One we haven't come across prior to acquiring this selection, and it just came in, is the 1804 in pink gold.
Pink gold, amazing.
So a pink gold Stella, I've known of one other, and this is the second one I've ever come across. Very cool. With indeed the Oxblood dial, but it's slightly more brownish.
And it falls better in harmony with the whole watch.
Yeah, it blends perfectly color-wise.
Yes.
But I do also very much appreciate yellow gold with dark red, with this pigeon blood red. I do
True.
find the combination of colors very attractive. And for me, it is best enjoyed without diamonds, this variation.
Yeah. A lot of people would, I'd say, especially in our business, because they're also more valuable in most cases, if not all, with diamonds. I am a big fan of diamonds. My favorite Stella is in this selection. We will get to that later, but it's covered in diamonds.
Mhm.
Maybe it's because when I just joined the team, I was confronted with a lot of diamond Stellas and diamond stone dials. Maybe that's why I prefer it, but I can understand that the completeness of just stone or Stella lacquer is more
But it
collectible.
might also differ from case to case. So for the darker colored ones, I like the more plain dials, so baton markers.
Okay,
On Stella, they used either baton markers or diamond markers. They didn't use any other. They didn't use arrowhead markers or Buckley or Roman or anything. Just these markers. And with the darker colors, I like it to be more plain.
Yes.
Whilst on the lighter colors, for example, the blue one, which we will dive in a little bit later,
Absolutely.
I have to agree with you, the diamonds really bring out the more icy look.
Unbelievable.
But to stick with the Oxblood ones, as you can see, this is a pretty fair representation of the Rarity, meaning almost half of the dials in this box are Oxbloods.
Exactly.
And in the market, also regarding Stella dials, probably half of them are Oxblood dials.
Yes. They were probably selected way more often back in the day.
For sure. And again, they started in the 1970s, so already on the 4-digit numbers.
Yes.
With the plexi crystal, and this shape of dial varies from the later ones, because this one doesn't have dial feet, it's not mounted by dial feet.
All right.
But back in the days it's more capped, and therefore you have, it's a cap over the movement.
Yes.
And therefore you have these pipe band dials.
Exactly,
So the
pipe band.
profile is different, and on these earlier ones, they made it up till 1978, they're all signed T/T. And because of the nice profile, it provides a lot of depth to it,
True.
in my humble opinion. And secondly, you can really see the thickness of the lacquer, which is best enjoyed around the day and date apertures.
100%.
Especially with the early ones, you see that bathtub effect.
It looks beautiful.
In the lighting and everything, it's spectacular, and therefore many people also opted, or later on supplied, for example, the red one we have here, a crystal with no cyclops, just a domed crystal to really enjoy,
Yes.
you know, the lacquer and the thickness you can see there if you play with the light. It's spectacular. But the first generation is the plexi one. They made it up until 1978. Then they moved over to the 5-digit ones, so reference 18XXX with caliber 30. 55 and then 3155 double quick set.
Yes.
And there are 3 generations in those flat dials, because then they became flat. One is the T/T sign, so still the one that we saw before on the 1803 or 18XX series, the 4-digit ones, but then with a flat dial. 3rd generation dial, so 2nd generation for the flat dial, but 3rd generation in general,
total, yeah.
is the T-Swiss Mate T signed ones, which is above the minute track, the open minute track. And lastly, we have the T-Swiss Mate T with a closed hour track with Roman numerals. That's the last
the
generation.
miniature. Oh yeah, exactly.
Now again, I want to emphasize it isn't the case with Rolex like in 1978. Well, up until 1978, we can conclude they only made this dial for practical reasons,
Yes.
right? They
The
have to
pipe
have
band.
the cap pipe band with T-Swiss T.
Exactly.
But afterwards, it's not like, well, from 1978 till 1981, they only made T-Swiss T. And from then onwards, they made, until 1985, they made T-Swiss made T with the open miniature. It doesn't work like that. It's not that like math.
Specific, yeah.
Yeah, math doesn't apply here. Also because these dials were oftentimes ordered as supplements. So it might
Same
be...
like with the stone dials.
Exactly.
So they were in the store perhaps, and then the watchmakers in-house would give the option to a high-profile client.
So you could have a T-Swiss T-sign dial mounted in a 1984 day-date with a Stella dial, because the day-date was sitting there since 1978 waiting for a customer or waiting to be ordered at the Rolex headquarters, or the other way around. You can have a 1983 one that was already delivered out with a T-Swiss made T dial, right? Yeah. So it's not like that, but this is the sequence. They produced the dials from the Rolex factory. It's not like that they mounted it in this particular sequence.
Just certain time frames.
Exactly. Yeah. So just to have that base knowledge there, but I will go more in depth about that in my KOV video that I will make. So please subscribe to my KOV channel where I will explain everything, including how they made these dials, which is also very interesting, but we're not going to dive too deep into the technical
We're going to check
aspect.
these beauties out.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
So I would say let's start with the two favorites of mine. Yeah. The two blue ones, the light blue. Let's grab them, yeah, absolutely. We have this one. And as you said, white metals were chosen for irregularly, or like less common than the yellow gold ones. And then white gold, for example, was not out there, but this one is platinum. Yeah. And a cool feature, which I learned over the course of time, is that you can really notice if the dial is correct with the rest of the watch. You have larger diamonds. So the diamonds of a platinum were larger, which in the world, I would say, of people, only those that know how it works would notice. Yeah. You can see the larger diamonds on the hour markers.
Yeah, which is rather common to see on like watches without Stella dials. You see it quite often. Back in the 70s and even 80s and 90s, they still provided bigger diamonds for the platinum casing. Yes. And again, this is an 1804. But with Stella dials, I've only seen one other that was delivered in a platinum case with bigger diamonds. So that's very, very special, because otherwise there's no real way to tell specifically only this watch was made for white, for a white metal, because the printing is black. And black printing is used both on white metal models as well as yellow metal models. Exactly. Generally. However, of course, the coronet and the hands are also white, meaning it was made for white gold. Yeah. But as mentioned before, white gold is more rare, so one could swap out the coronet of a yellow gold one, apply a white gold one, apply white gold hands and put it in a white gold case. But with the platinum one, you can't, because it has bigger diamonds. Exactly. Now, you also have white metal models that have a white printing. For example, this one. We're going back to the Oxblood. So here you can really see this watch was intended, this dial was intended to be in a white metal model. And on the other hand, you also have yellow printing, and that always is in a combination with a yellow gold model. Yes. However, there are some anomalies there.
Is there black printing?
Yeah, black printing.
Yeah. No, but on the Oxbloods?
No, on Oxblood there's no black printing, but there are some anomalies. So not necessarily all the white printing is always for white dials. Here we have a Vignette dial that has yellow printing too, whilst it's made for a white gold model. I love that, which is also very rare. With
brown color.
It's very cool, huh? And vignettes are also Stella dials, because the lacquer was supplied by Stella. They're just made in a different way. If you gravitate towards the periphery of the dial, you will see it, the color becomes darker, because the lacquer is more dense there. So it was made on a rotating platform, and they're hand sprayed, and on the periphery of the dial, the lacquer, there's
became thicker.
Yeah, there's more lacquer layers there, so less translucent, so it becomes darker. They're very cool, very labor intensive to make, and they're also Stella dials, whilst most people don't regard to them as Stella dials, and they're way cheaper. Yeah. And in my humble opinion, they might be sleepers.
They're sleepers, because especially in this configuration, you don't see that color that often.
True, very true. So this is a very cool one, again with the pipe and dial, so 4-digit reference number. This is a watch I have never had before. I've never had the pleasure to own this watch. Okay. Very cool example. But if you take a look at, for example, the 1804 here.
This one, amazing piece.
Super simple.
No diamonds.
No diamonds,
no
not
loom.
even tritium markers, no loom, closed handset.
Why did they do that? Is it because it was exported to some country?
Well, so the application of loom is the last step in the dial making process. So of course the lacquer is applied to the base dial.
Yes.
Then they pad print it. So they use a tampon, a cliche with the font and the graphics. They pad print it. So
Okay.
therefore it also says T Swiss T, as we established also on
With
the
the
stone
stone dial
dials.
video,
It
yeah.
will always say T Swiss T, regardless of where it was delivered to. And then depending on, for example, where it was delivered to, in Japan most of the dials were no-lume. They did not apply lume as the last step.
Okay.
They left it like that, but it still says T Swiss T.
Yeah.
Yet Stella dials with no looms are not so often seen. Many fake ones also have no loom, so you always have to be careful there.
Very
careful.
yeah.
But this is a very cool example with a super vivid color. The
Yes.
blue is so strong and it really pops if you compare it, for example, to the 1804.
This is a
with
good
diamonds.
example where we can clearly show the color difference between blues. Two
Yeah.
blues.
Yeah, which is also funny because I found this 1986 master catalog excerpt saying special dials on request or on
Okay.
order. And it mentions a couple dial colors, but for example, it mentions green and it mentions blue. But do you know what blue you're gonna get if you order it? Was it
Would
just
they? Maybe they were able to decide beforehand.
perhaps? But then they would
Some
have to
tints
have
of-
yeah,
yeah.
perhaps,
Or
perhaps.
side reference, side codes.
Also
whatever.
interesting. So it has a lot of dials there, also lady dials there, not only Stella but also stone dials, and it
Mhm.
says the supplement you have to pay to order these dials. And with the Stella dials, it says no supplement. So the dials didn't actually cost extra.
Seriously?
Yeah.
So it was just a standard option.
Yeah, well, not standard because again, it's a special dial on
Okay,
order,
yes.
but no extra additional payment was required. However, of course, the one with the diamond settings, they do require extra payment, but the regular ones, it was just the same
That
price.
was probably just a standard diamond edition of price they
Yep.
would add.
Exactly.
Crazy.
So that's kind of
crazy.
fun to see.
Also, on the top there, if we're talking about different color variations, we have the green ones.
Yeah, so both of them are totally different. One has the black print and with the T Swiss made T above the open minute track, and the other one has the gold printing.
And the Roman minute track.
Exactly, so the 4th generation. Which one do you prefer?
For me, I would say without the Roman minute track, to me, it also seems a bit even smaller, the dial. Like it would broaden, just like you say with a black color or a white color, the
point.
size of the dial seems larger or smaller.
Good point.
I would go for the non-minute track one, absolutely.
Well,
What about you?
here I would disagree with you, although you made a valid point there regarding the size. But I actually really like the gold print on the green surface. I think it's very cool.
That the two colors, yellow, gold, or green, do mix very well together.
So
Absolutely.
I do feel that's a nice addition, and of course Rolex is oftentimes associated with the color green. So both of them I find stunning and real Rolex watches.
They even introduced something that would look, even with the Roman minute track, I would say, they just introduced a 40 millimeter, sadly, date with a green dial and Roman numerals. I would say it would be the nicer.
By the way,
version.
they reintroduced the Vignette ones, right? Like last year.
Exactly.
40 millimeter.
They did, yes, true.
Some people really like
We'll put those in there.
I found those hideous, but
I
I
agree.
mean, to each their own. Now, there's a color that comes rather close to it, and that has been discussed broadly the last few years, especially due to a particular 5711 with this color combination. So this is the Tiffany, blue. Would you say blue?
And
Well,
this
it's
is
a
kind
little
of
bit.
turquoise, kind of.
I would personally call it more seafoam green.
Seafoam. Way
I've
better.
had this before in an 1803, which was the first Stella we ever bought.
Was it the first one?
Yeah.
Is that
I
the
think
one
it
that
was
is at
2016
our
that I
friend
bought it.
Ramon?
No,
Right
it's
now it's
not.
also- that's
no.
also
This
seafoam.
watch I sold to a Dutch gentleman, and he still owns this watch. And it was
Okay.
actually offered to me a year prior to me purchasing it, while I was in the store,
Yeah.
or outside of the store, cleaning the windows. I shit you not. It sounds like a made-up story, but I was cleaning this window, and it was owned by a gentleman who owned a pawn shop in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And he bought this watch. Back in the days, they didn't trade for a lot of premium.
Okay.
So regular dated was like 8K, but he asked me 15,000 euros, so double
Yeah.
the price. So he came up to
Jeez.
me, and I knew him. His name is Tom. Tom was like, "Do you want to buy this watch? It's 15,000 euros." I'm like, "What the? I'm not buying dated with an aftermarket."
I can buy them
dial."
for 8. Or
This is and the dial's aftermarket. He's like, "No, this is original and it's very rare and it's really worth it." Like, that's some bullshit, man.
Did you know about them back then?
No, I didn't. So
That's
I declined the offer, and a year later, after I did some more research, I knew it was quite rare. So I came back to him. I had to pay a little bit more. I think I paid like low 20s.
And when was this? This
week, 2016,
Jeez,
top of my head.
Already that.
I will include a
price
picture
price.
from back in the days. It also had a cool like mesh bracelet on it, super cool combination. But it made it look very weird, very unlike a regular day-date, I would say. And I think we sold it for like 26K back then. But again, the gentleman still owns the watch, so it's very cool to see.
Still has it.
But those watches skyrocketed, and especially this color is very popular.
It's
I
stunning.
think one sold at Monaco Legends Group during the auction for like 160. Rutger, what was the price?
Which one?
The Monaco Legend Group one sold for like 160K or so with the seafoam dial last year.
Yeah, it's high.
I would have to look it up, but something
Close
like
to 200, I think, yeah.
that. But I fell in love with this color, and then
Stunning.
you're just fucked because I paid almost double the price of this one compared to the both green ones. Like the green ones together was almost the price I paid for this one.
But in that way, you can clearly confirm that the value of these Stella dials is next to the condition, of course, and the authenticity.
Yeah.
The color configuration.
Yeah. But
the
that
less
is
of
very
there out
subjective.
there, yeah,
Very
true.
subjective.
Because who likes it? Yeah,
Exactly.
Who wants it?
So I really like this, and I've never seen it before in my hand, except for the one I owned on the 4-digit one, so the 1803, and the one that went at Monaco Legends Group. So I fell in love with it, and you're always too afraid if you're not going to buy it, you're not going to find it.
No.
And with the Oxblood one, that isn't so prevalent because if the price is not right, you'll pass on it and you'll find another one in half a year or a year.
You'll be less eager to close a deal because we've had plenty of them.
Exactly, and with this one, that isn't the case. So I had to buy it also in order to fill up this box.
Yeah. No, because we bought it last week.
Yeah, we bought it
It
last
arrived
week.
just before the
We bought
video.
like, I think 5 of them last week.
Crazy.
And that's why we decided to make the video.
Yeah,
actually.
well, people requested it as well, I remember. I
Yeah,
recall.
yeah, true, that's true. But then we had only 8-ish, 9-ish.
Which,
And
let's be
most of
honest,
them,
is
all-
still quite a lot.
It's nice, but like all of them were Oxblood.
Oxblood, I was
so
about
then
to
it's
say,
kind of
yeah.
a boring video.
It was quite a few.
And the red one we received yesterday, so just in time
Yes.
for the video.
Also a cool bracelet on that one.
Very cool bracelet. I have to be honest, I put it on for the video, so it usually comes on the president bracelet. But I also wanted to show some variety of bracelets.
In bracelets, yeah.
But
true.
we will offer this for sale shortly, but with its regular president bracelet.
president bracelet.
Because this watch, this bracelet, if you believe it or not, belongs to another Oxblood we own, but that watch is at the watchmaker
True.
to get a full revision.
I remember which one, yeah.
Yeah, so I took off the bracelet and it's nice to put it here.
And some Oxblods will be
Original bracelet, obviously,
Coming as
Rolex shark mesh. Super
very nice.
cool.
So what do you prefer the brighter red color that this one has compared to the Oxblood? Well, maybe I shouldn't ask you because you've had so many Oxblods in the past.
The thing is, the value is in having all of them. Because depending on what outfit you would wear, if I would wear it with my current outfit, it's an absolute joke.
Yeah.
Whilst if I
Well,
wear,
still.
we went to the beach party.
Exactly. You wore the turquoise. Or
I wore the turquoise
yeah,
with this
absolutely.
outfit.
It was
right?
that was worked perfectly.
Exactly. So
It
then
really
it
was.
works very well. I have a red jacket, the Campari jacket. If I wear this watch with that jacket,
Exactly.
it's spectacular. Whilst
That
if I
would
wear
work,
the
yeah.
Oxblood, it's terrible.
The Oxblood would fit on most outfits.
True, but
I'd
not
say.
on the bright red jacket.
100%.
So it really depends there what the occasion is. But I tend to go for the more brighter colors because it's just a little bit more loud and I like the reaction that people would
Exactly. A lot of people have some, like people that don't know their Stella dials or whatever, they would give pretty judgmental comments of like, what are you wearing? Is that a girl's watch or is that something too bright? Or
But I had the same idea, and a year later I paid very serious premium for the dial. So it's also the way it grows, just like we spoke about the 5065 with the bracelet, the metal bracelet. You sold it
that
to
we
your
all
client.
hated it from a distance. Then we started wearing it. We started noticing
started
the
falling in
rarity.
love with
Nobody
it.
configured it.
Yeah.
And that's how it goes. That's how it goes.
That's the fun part. And what I also noticed, I mentioned last week we went to this get together in Maastricht, Vintage Watch Hunting Club, and there was
with Boulang and
there was a multitude of very rare vintage Rolex watches. Not only Rolex, it was not the Rolex get together. It was from all brands.
Everything.
But many Paul Newmans, many Big Crown Submariners, many 6542 GMTs, many Milgaus. But in the end,
also
5 years ago on these meetings there wouldn't be a single day date. This time, also because of us and because of two of our
100%.
clients who collect them, who brought their day dates.
They brought some nice ones.
This time there was a whole fucking segment filled with rare day dates, including many of these watches.
I saw it on the stories.
Yeah, so if Dario would be so kind to also insert that picture there.
please.
And a lot of people that are into collecting Rolex watches, I spoke to one of our clients yesterday when we were talking about day dates. I had
Yes.
a dinner with him and we spoke about it because he's been going to these meetings for many years and he said this was the first year there were a lot of day dates present.
Yeah.
And even the guys that are into collecting Rolex for 20 years, that are collecting Daytonas, that are collecting these Submariners, they were very impressed by the selection of day dates. Whilst, I mean, even this very rare green day date, you can purchase it for, let's say, 70K,
Yeah.
which doesn't even get you a regular 6263, let alone a
100%.
Paul Newman one. And a Paul Newman one, if you go to an auction week and everybody has the watch,
Yeah.
nobody's going to ask, oh, what are you wearing? Because you can see from a
Yeah,
distance
Paul
it's Paul
Newman.
Newman.
Exactly.
With this, everybody always wants to see it in the flesh, have it
Yes.
in their hand, just play with the light a little
Yeah.
bit. So they were very much intrigued by these. And even a good Longines collector, a friend of ours, a Dutch
Okay.
gentleman who
Oh, yes,
collects
yeah.
Longines, he said, after this weekend, I really want to buy a special day date from you guys. So that was very cool too.
That
Very-
is, and you can say that they're gaining popularity.
For sure.
I noticed on social media that very famous, and he's been doing very well, by the way, lately. Lando Norris,
Yeah,
Formula
he
One
had
driver.
a red one, right?
He has a red Stella.
Yeah.
He was spotted with a red Stella. Super nice. So
More to follow. Because if
Exactly.
you buy one, you also want to have the other colors.
you get into the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
You end up there, and you'll want every iteration of every color.
Yep.
It's cool to see that we're seeing these become more popular. They're gaining a lot of appreciation for everybody across the globe.
Yep.
Everybody has their favorites.
But with the gaining appreciation comes a price increase, comes also more lucrativity for fraudsters. So you have to
True.
be very vigilant. You have to buy only original ones, obviously, but it's
Yes.
important to buy the seller here again.
100%.
Or do
I
your
couldn't
due
agree.
diligence yourself, but then it's on your risk.
Exactly, 100%. And next to that, these dials are not bulletproof. They can be quite fragile.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because we forgot to mention.
Yeah, we focus on, just like with stone dials, we focus on the condition and the
Yeah.
non-damageness of
The
that's even-
non-damage.
If that's even a word.
We're going to integrate that.
Yeah.
The
The dials have to
non-damage.
be undamaged. Let's just say it that way. No hairlines, no cracks, no like fading of the color. You can see
Well,
the blemishes.
It could be like, it's not that uncommon that, especially with the 4-digit ones and especially around the markers, because the markers are set with holes in the base
plate.
dial.
Yeah.
So therefore you can also see these nice dimples because the paint kind of declines into when
True.
it's sprayed into the dimples. Also around the coronet and around the center of the dial, you can see it really nicely. And around these points you can also sometimes see some hairlines or cracks.
Yeah. If they were applied too hard or watchmaker handled
Yeah,
it too roughly.
therefore the paint is also the thinnest,
Yeah.
so it's most prone to breaking.
Yeah.
Now, if there's small hairlines, I wouldn't not buy it, but it's important to take it in consideration when purchasing it because it does affect the value.
Absolutely.
Like a perfect one has a different value than one that's broken because the one that's not broken but damaged.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna
Evolve, right?
yeah.
In the future, it might damage more. in
Exactly.
Those points, on
Every
those
time
points.
you dismount it and you mount it again and you put the dial screws
Yeah.
on too hard,
Go for service, all that stuff.
yeah, so
Exactly.
always be careful with that and only bring them to proper watchmakers, like for example our guys Tempus.
Yes. The correct guys for the job.
They do a really
Absolutely.
great job for us with these Stella dials. But also another, well, not damage, but let's say defect can be paint that's missing on some of the places, like when they pad print it because
Yes,
of the thick
true.
lacquer. So sometimes there's a little bit of the text or the graphics are a little bit off,
Yeah.
and that
Because it's more
impacts-
fragile when applied, I would say.
yeah, and that impacts also the aesthetics and therefore
Yeah.
the supply and demand and
Exactly.
therefore the price.
Exactly.
So you would have to take it in consideration, but the value is rather subjective.
Yeah.
And that is also a very interesting part, right? That's
100%,
what I
I would
like,
say.
actually.
I agree.
Because for some people, this watch would never be worth 140K, whilst for me, it's worth 140K.
Yeah.
But other people rather pay half the price for the green one because they enjoy that more. Well, it's great.
Also-
I want to have all.
Exactly. Also, we've been in this for quite a while, and we're quite deep into the rabbit hole that we can justify that this is more valuable because of the rarity.
Yeah.
Just like a beautiful, beautiful example we've had in the past, the lilac. Stella.
Wow.
That
That was
piece,
insane.
I haven't had the pleasure to see it in real life. I saw it in our museum. You can also check it out in our museum, by the way.
But you
It's-
went to the client like a couple months ago, right? Didn't
yeah,
he pull
but
it out?
No, he didn't. Sadly.
Sadly. That's an amazing one. It's
It
one
is
of the rarest
crazy.
colors. One
Yeah.
of the rarest colors. Collected Man also made a nice article about these dials, and their main picture is also that watch.
Yeah.
Secondly, it's published in Pucci Papaleo's book. So
It's
it's
been
a
on
very
auction
prominent
too,
watch. It's been
right?
on auction.
Yeah.
It's a very prominent watch, and it has to be one of the nicest Stella we've sold.
It's
I
crazy.
would say.
It's crazy.
That's a crazy one. Yeah.
Also the salmon I like. That was
Salmon.
a 5-digit, I think.
Yes.
5-digit salmon
We had
dial.
3 like salmonish, orangish, pinkish,
Yeah.
different like all of them together. We had them.
Yeah.
And we saw them to one client over the course of a couple months, and there you can really see the different
Shades, different shades, different
pigments,
colors.
yeah.
Absolutely.
It's really nice to have them side by side and pick your favorite.
I have a picture of
Those
those
were very nice.
side by side. I can
Well,
put that in the
Dario,
video.
there you go
100%.
again. And lastly, I want to mention more recent times. We just named the Vignette one that they reintroduced. But of course, with the Oyster Perpetuals, they integrated these colors. It was also a little bit of a nod to the old Stella dials. Yet, there's also another Stella dial that has been made on request, provided the dial provided by Singer this time.
I know what we're going to.
With the same cliche used back in the days, the same...
old production methods used by Rolex.
Yeah. They requested it in 2013. It's a Stella dial made for day-date.
How many of them are out there?
Top of my head, 5.
Okay, because it was a special request from, of course, our partner, Collectors Gallery Dubai.
Yeah.
A client just wanted that specific dial, wanted a yellow, beautiful yellow Stella dial.
Yeah, and it's also in the article by Collected Men.
Okay.
It came via Wool from Rare and Fine, and it was found by Ramon,
Yes.
and he got it to his client.
Yes.
It's the white gold one on a 6-digit from 2013. The dial was made, and it has a very cool Latin disc and a Latin engraving on the case
Unbelievable.
back. Like
That's a crazy piece.
Humane, whatever.
Error humane
Yeah, like
est
human
irarum or
failures.
something.
I don't know what it translates to again.
Probably messed that one up.
But I also heard the story, and I think it's a made-up story, but it's a fun story to share.
Yeah.
So I heard the story. One of the people that ordered it was like
Executive or something. Or
yeah, so including executives, but also somebody from the Vatican. So therefore it's yellow
True.
with a white gold case, so like the flag of the Vatican.
Yeah.
Therefore it has a Latin disc and this Latin engraving.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if that story is...
One of the few Latin discs ever seen.
Well, we had one with the Latin disc in the Guilloche style we've had.
Yes,
the
true.
1802.
Yeah.
But Latin discs are rather rare. But that was a cool recent Stella made in the old way, special request from 2013.
A more modern Stella with old production methods.
Yeah, and they also made the one with the yellow gold that Ramon and Collectors Gallery also found recently and provided.
Yeah.
And during this period, this batch, they also made, you won't believe this, but they also made Stella dial for vintage Daytonas.
Yeah, I didn't know if we're going to talk about that one. Those are pretty.
Well,
pretty
you would have
cool.
to wait because it's going to be featured. This set of 4 colors. It's going to be featured in a KOV video and in a book,
right?
And in a KOV video.
That's gonna be like to be
honest.
We
can't say too much.
But the coolest Daytona I have ever seen, ever.
So there are 4 colors, and it will be in a video that we taped like a year ago or so. But we can't say too much.
I'll give a hint. It's
again, subscribe to KOV.
Yeah, it's close to my favorite Stella.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's a little bit of a hint.
It's crazy.
It's amazing.
Okay,
so we talked about all these pieces. I am going to really share footage of these pieces because they're quite nice. They're super nice, and we'll go more in depth, or Mr. KOV will go more in depth pretty soon. I think recording is going to start pretty soon because we have a nice selection right now, and we'll make sure to put that on the KOV channel.
Mm-hmm. And some of these will also be for sale. I think 3
some
of them
are already
or 2 of them are listed on the website. 2 of them are already sold, and we have a couple that, for example, the green ones, the Tiffany one, the red one, the pink gold 1804, which is exceedingly rare,
the turquoise,
2 Oxbloods, the turquoise. Those are going for sale on the website. So also, if you want to spend some money there, so we can buy even more cool Stellas and bring more variety, please be our guest.
Stay tuned, make an appointment, all that stuff. For now, I think it was a short but thorough video of some variation of cool selection we have. People, subscribe. You know what to do. Leave your comments below.
Not only the mother of Laurent.
Not only my mom. Please stop spamming, mom. We get it. We get it now. Subscribe, guys. Like. Keep following us. Share your thoughts, and we'll see you next video.
And wait, let us know in the comment section also what you would like us to cover, or if you have any more questions.
Exactly. We did see a comment, by the way. maybe I should talk about that.
Yeah.
That I will grab it right now. Someone requesting to talk about our personal collections.
Uh-oh.
Maybe that's a good one to do.
Well-
Marcus Spetter, 1642. I think I speak for everyone here when I say we would love to see a video on Jasper and Laurent's personal collections. Maybe that's a good...
Yeah, well, thank you very much for the interest there, but I don't want to...
You already did.
Yeah, I don't want to do it on my own channel also because it feels a little bit narcissistic. Like, oh, this is what I have. And I already have my painting hanging right here. So that's
Which you commissioned
already-
yourself, right?
I very much commissioned it, of course. It wasn't a gift from a client. It was indeed commissioned. So I already did 2 collection reviews, even 3. I did one with Andrea Casaleño on I Am
Other
Casa's channel.
Yes.
I did one on Watson Watches, which is also a very cool one because there
He was here, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
here. We did the collection review here, but there I only pulled out Rolex watches, but a lot of variety within
Yeah,
Rolex.
true. Yeah.
For the people that are stupid enough to say Rolex, they dislike Rolex because that means you don't understand watches.
100%.
I made a very thorough video, an elaborate and concise video about why you should love Rolex if you love watches.
Yes.
That's on my KOV channel, but definitely check out the variety in Rolex catalog over the years with my collection review at Watson Watches. And thirdly, I did a very, in my humble opinion, funny
Our
one
friend, yeah.
with a
Swiss.
good chemistry with a Swiss watch gang.
Yeah.
Marco is a good friend of mine, and I think you really see that on the screen because
Yeah.
we had a lot of fun, and I think it's nice to watch.
Cool
It al-
energy.
Cool energy. It also had like 110 or 120,000
Yeah, I'll link
views.
that right here.
Yeah, so also check out that collection review if you want to see my stuff. But if you want to see his stuff and want to know why he's Mr. Tudor, maybe you have to pull out your Tudor collection.
I will. And I think that would be a cool video because you're going abroad pretty soon.
Yeah.
And then
for
I
a
might
month.
be able to make a solo video.
If you would like to see his Tudor collection, please let us know, and
Yeah.
he will be sure to hook you up with some very
Now everybody's
interesting
going to be like,
watches.
oh, fuck that.
Fuck Tudor, we don't want it.
Well, Rolex, poor man's Rolex. Don't start that one.
Well,
Okay,
you can
guys.
maybe elaborate in the video why Tudor isn't the poor man's Rolex.
That's
It's
a
more
good-
the
that's a
bad
good
taste
point.
man's Rolex.
Here we go.
No, just
You got to get it from your own family, right? Come on, guys. Okay, guys.
kidding. Mwah.
Stay tuned. See you next week. And thanks for watching. Ciao.